Welcome back to a new episode of Dev Drawer. Today we are going to be creating our own Vanilla JS theme switcher so we can go from light mode to dark mode with the check of a box. But before I do get into how you do this pretty cool video, if you are not subscribed to the channel and you like videos like this, or if you get to the end of the video and you figure out you like videos like this, definitely subscribe, hit the bell notification for any new videos that I have coming up. I got plenty of videos that are doing JavaScript, as well as PHP, WordPress, server, pretty much anything you can think of as a developer. For the most part, still working on some other things, but if you like these kind of videos, then definitely subscribe to the channel. So let's go ahead and get started by creating the file system that we need. So I already created the index.html just to make sure the go live button down here works. So let's create the other files that we need. So we're going to do a new folder and we're going to create our SASS, and then inside of that we are going to create a new file and we're going to call it style.scss, and then below this we are going to create our script. Let's do init.js, and then finally we're going to create a new folder that's going to house our images. So that's pretty much all that we need to kind of get started on this project. I'm going to go ahead and start it off with an HTML5 template, and we're going to call this, let's call it dark mode selector. Okay, so inside of this we want to use Bootstrap, so I'm going to open up Bootstrap's window and we're going to get started. Only thing we need to get off of it is the CSS for now, so let's switch back and let's try this. Not that, try this. Okay, and let's go ahead and get rid of the integrity and cross domain just to make it a little bit easier for you guys to read. And as you can tell, I'm kind of doing this tutorial a little bit different than I normally do my tutorials. I'm trying to see if there's this way works out better so we can switch back and forth between the two views, so code view and then the actual view of the project, just to see if it's a little bit easier for you guys to work with. If you don't like it, then I can always go back to my dual screen view so we can kind of see it as we're doing it. But for right now, this is the way this tutorial is going to go. Hopefully you like it. If not, definitely let me know and I can change it. Okay, let's see where our SASS is going to be getting created. So let's watch this. It's getting put into our CSS folder. So let's go ahead and create a reference to that CSS folder. So we're going to do link href equals, let's do CSS style.css, and then this is going to be a rel equals style sheet. Alright, and then finally whenever we get to the body closing tag, let's go ahead and add in our script. So script source equals init.js, and that is how we get started. So now we have Bootstrap. The way that I'm going to go ahead and do this, let me go ahead and open up the live server so we can go ahead and start getting that running. We're going to be using Bootstrap, but we're also going to be using the icons for Bootstrap. So this is a new thing. I usually use Font Awesome. So I'm not going to be using Font Awesome this time. I'm actually going to be using Bootstrap's icons just because it's a little bit easier. So if you go to Bootstrap, you can click on their icons, and it's icons.getbootstrap.com, and this is where I'm going to be copying from the CDN to import it. So I'm going to import the URL rather than adding another style sheet. I'm just going to add this to our existing code in the SASS. So Control V. Alright, so now we have the code inside of our SASS, and we can start coding on the project itself. So let's start by creating a header, and I'm just going to kind of lay out the HTML first, and then we'll get into styling it and doing the JavaScript. But I'm just going to kind of start making it where you can kind of see what I'm doing as I'm doing it. So we're going to do div container fluid, and then inside of that I want to have a div row. Then inside of that I want to have a div column, and I think inside of this let's just do href equals, and the HTML on this isn't so much what I'm worried about. I'm going to show you how to do the switch using JavaScript and some of the CSS, so I'm not going to really validate the mobile responsiveness of it or anything like that, but I'll kind of show you how the code actually works, so that you can kind of make it your own. So this is just going to be where the brand image is going to go. I'm just going to leave a placeholder right now for text. So what we actually want to have on here is a toggle switch that toggles between light mode and dark mode. So let's go ahead and create a div. Let's do emit. So div column md3. I want it to be on the text end, and then I want to call it toggle wrap. Let's do toggle dash wrap. And then inside of this, we're going to have a span with an ID of toggle icon. And then inside of that, we're going to have a I with the class of, nope, not class, I. It's going to be BI. I think it's BI-sun-fill, which is going to be the sun that we're going to switch out. It's going to show a moon, or it's going to show the sun, so forth and so on. And then let's see, underneath this, so we have the toggle icon. So I want to create a checkbox that's going to act as a toggle switch. I'm not going to use Bootstrap's toggle just because I don't like it. So I'm going to use mine so I have a little bit more control when we get to the CSS part of it. So let's do label, and this is going to be a class of theme switch. So theme switch, and then inside of this, I don't want to have that. So let's do just an input type equals checkbox, and then I want to call this. So it's going to do div, and then I want to do toggle, and then I want to have a rounded corner, so we're going to call it toggle round, and that's going to be pretty much our toggle switch and covering our header. So let's see what that looks like. We can go ahead and I'll leave this open for now. Let me move this over. Okay, so currently we don't, you can see it over here. Let me zoom in a little bit. I'm on a Mac, so I don't know, I'm not too familiar. I just got a Mac recently. So it is Command plus, there we go. Okay, so you can see it over here. We have the little icon for the sun and then a checkbox. So that checkbox in the style sheet is going to turn into a switch for us. So they're going to be able to toggle, and it's going to change this icon to a moon icon whenever we get to that point. All right, so let's go ahead and do a little bit of the styling on it. So I want to create two separate things. So the root, I'm going to create these variables that we can use, and this isn't going to be SASS variables. They're going to be like var variables for CSS, which SASS actually creates for you. But I'm going to create them manually because you can't really do what I want to do using SASS, but I'm going to use SASS as like the background for it. So I'm going to create a few different variables. So the first one is going to be primary color, and I'm just going to make this one just a light black, and then we're going to do secondary color, and then this one is going to be not as dark as the 333. It's going to be a little bit lighter, so I'm going to do an RGBA, and we're just going to do 000, and then let's do 0.125. And then let's do brand color, which is going to be the like the blue color that I always use. I'm just going to pick a random blue color, and you can make your brand color whatever color you want. Alright, so we're going to do background. This background is going to be white. And then let's do a background. Actually, let's do an alt background. So alt background. And then this is going to be kind of white, but not really. Alright, so that is our root colors. Now I'm going to take this and I'm going to copy it, and then let's go below it. I'm going to paste this, and we're going to set this up as a data selector. So this is going to be whenever the data theme is set to dark, it's going to run these opposing colors. So the primary color, we want it to be white in our dark theme, and then I'm going to have like a off gray. So let's do 878787, and let's just make this RGB. Okay, and then the brand color can stay the same. The background is going to turn black for dark, and then our alternate color is just going to be a lighter dark color. And I'm not going to use a 333 just because I don't want it to potentially conflict with, I can just do 222. I don't want it to potentially conflict with the 333 that we've already assigned. Okay, so let's do body. And if you've never done a variable inside of CSS, this is pretty cool. So you can do background color, and then we're going to do var background. And then we're going to do color, and we're going to do var primary color. Okay, so now if we page back over, well, we don't have any text written, so that's fine. Let's go ahead, and we have where it will switch the background color for us based off of this. So what I want to do is inside of our initialize.js, let's go ahead and start writing some JS calls. So let's create a few variables. So the first one we're going to do is a constant variable called switch. And this is going to be equal to document dot query selector, not selector all, and then we're going to do input type equals checkbox, and that's going to be the checkbox that switches it for us. Okay, so let's do another constant, and we're going to create an icon. This is going to be called document. It's going to be document query selector, and then this is going to be toggle icon. And this is all based on what we set up in our index.html for the header. And let's create a function right now. So let's do function dark, and this is going to run whenever we want to switch it to dark mode. And then let's also create a function light that will run whenever we want it to switch back to the default. Let's create a function, and we're going to call it switcher. So nope, that's not what I wanted to do. Stop it. Switcher, and then this is going to be passing an event, and then inside of this we'll end up running the code that switches if it's whether it's a dark or a light. Okay, so we have our basic functions. Now let's create a event listener. So for the switch variable that we created, we're going to do add event listener, and then on change we are going to run switcher, just like that. And then eventually we'll make it where it stores it in the browser, but for right now we're going to just be running these two functions. So whenever I say store it in the browser, I'm going to use it as store it to the local storage of the browser, so whenever they come back to the website they can keep the same mode that they've had. Alright, so in our dark function, let's create a variable that will change our icon, or not a variable, but a function that'll change our icon. So we're going to do icon children 0 because it's the only icon there, class list, and remember this toggle icon is this up here. So we have this toggle icon, we want to make sure that it's hitting just this space. And there's also a reason why I'm using the 0 and potentially a 1, because we can actually change various parts of it. So let's say if we wanted to add some text in here, we could add some text, but right now it's only hitting just this one thing, so we're just going to leave it at 0, and I can show you that in a minute as well. So let's do class list replace, and we want to replace the bi sun fill, and we're going to replace it with bi moon fill. And that's all we need to do on this one. So let's copy this, and we're going to go down and paste that, and we're going to make it where when it's a light, it's going to change it from the moon to the sun. Okay, so in order to call this dark or this light function, in order to make it work, we need to come over here and do if event dot target dot checked, and if it is checked, we want it to run the dark, else we want it to run the light. So we should be able to see our icon here change now. Let me refresh. Apparently not. What's wrong here? So cannot read children of null on line 14. 5 or 14. 5. Icon children. Query selector. Oh, that's because we have that declared as a ID. So toggle icon is an ID. So let's fix that real quick. So it's not going to be query selector up here. It is going to be get element by ID instead of query selector. Alright, so now let's go back and see if it works. So there we go. We got it switching from the sun to the moon. So that's kind of the start of what we want it to look like. Alright, so let's go back and let's add something here. So event.target.check, we want to add an attribute of data theme, because that's what we're looking for inside of our style sheet here. So data theme dark, so we want to add that up there. So we're going to do document element dot set attribute, and then we're going to set data theme, and that's going to turn into dark. Okay, so now we can copy this and paste it into the beginning, and we're going to remove it here. That's not what I wanted to do. I want to copy this and paste it. So we're going to just remove the attribute. So instead of set attribute here, we're going to do remove attribute, and then we're going to remove data theme, because the default is going to be the white or the light theme. So we already have our code over here that should be able to dictate it. So if we come back over here and flip this on, it's changing it from light to dark. Alright, cool. Alright, so it's working so far. So let's go back to our initialize JS, and I think we need to do let's do the local storage now. So we have our switch add event listeners. Underneath this, let's create another constant, and this is going to be current theme equals local storage dot get item, and then this is going to just pass theme. So if the current theme is set, we want to run some code that's going to set it for us. So document, and I probably need to change this. So here, and we're going to do set attribute. Instead of passing dark, we're going to pass current theme. And then inside of this, let's go ahead and create to make it where that the checkbox automatically checks itself if it finds that it's already a dark website. So if current theme equals dark. We're going to do switch dot checked equals true, and then we're going to run the dark function just in case. Alright, so now if we set this and then we reload the page, it's not staying dark, so let's see what it's storing in the application. So we got local storage, and so it's not adding anything to the local storage. Let's see. Oh, that's because we need to set it here. So before we call the dark, let's do local storage dot set item, and we're going to pass theme and dark. Alright, and then the same thing we need to do over here is local storage dot remove item theme. There. Alright, so now if we come back over here, check on this and then refresh it, it stays because the theme is now being set to dark. Alright, so let's uncheck it and we can refresh it again and it stays that way. Alright, so we got everything that we want so far inside of our theme. So now let's kind of add some more content just so we can kind of not just be modifying the top part and the background. So let's create another section. We're going to call this, instead of calling it, let's use the container fluid, and this is something I'm just going to make up as I go. So we're going to do div container fluid, and then underneath that we're going to have main, then underneath that we're going to have div hero. We're just going to create a simple hero. So inside of this hero I want to do a div class row, and we want to align the items center, and then let's go ahead and create a div column, and let's do MG or MD7 I think would work, and H1, and let's just do this as display 4 FW bold. Okay, so we have, and we're just going to add a header here. Let's call it Vanilla JS theme switcher. Why do I keep saying that wrong? Switcher. Alright, so let's go back over here. Alright, so far so good. And let's underneath that, let's add a paragraph tag. So p class equals fs4, just to make it where it's not the same size as the normal text. I mean, it's a hero. So I'm just going to put in use CSS and Vanilla JS to build a dark light. Wow, this keyboard, I'm not used to this keyboard. Dark light mode theme switcher. No need for fancy frameworks. So let's do no need for fancy frameworks. Make your own, I'm just trying to fill up some space, theme easily by adding a few variables. And there, so let's go back and look at it. Alright, that looks good. So now on beside it, let's just create, I'm just going to create a div that goes next to it. So div column MD5, and then I want to have div card. So div card, and then div card body, and then inside of that a form. It's just a sample, so we're not going to have the form actually do anything. So okay, I think that's far enough where I need to go. So we're going to switch back over to our style sheet, and we're going to start modifying some of the information contained inside of this this hero section. So let's see, what do we want to add first? Actually, you know what? I think we forgot to style the header. Let's style the header to add a toggle there. So let's do header, and then we got a brand, and this is going to be where an image goes. So we're going to do brand, and let's do max height of 80 pixels. We're going to have it float to the left, and then do a margin left or margin right of 4 rem. Then let's drop down below that and do the toggle wrap. So toggle wrap, and inside of this we're going to do toggle text, and we're going to have this be position relative and a top of -4 rem. No, not -04. Let's do -4. And then let's do a left, and let's do a right. So right, and just make it half 5 rem from the right, so it's kind of lining up. All right, so now let's do the toggle icon, and inside of this toggle icon we have toggle text. No, we have a do we even need that? I don't think we need that. So we got our toggle icon. Let's just leave that there for now. We might want to control that icon that's there, but not right now. Let's do the theme switcher, which is actually going to be our toggle switch. So inside of the theme switcher we have, is it theme switch or theme switcher? Theme switch. Okay, let me fix that before it just doesn't work at all. So theme switch, inside of this we have a few different things. So let's do display, we're going to do inline block, we're going to make the height of 2 rem, position is going to be relative, then we're going to do width of 4 rem, so that our toggle switch is 2 rem tall and 4 wide, so basically double its width. And then we're going to do top 0.2 rem. Let's see what that looks like so far. I didn't really do anything. Alright, that's fine. Alright, so let's go ahead and do the and input, and we're going to display none. It would probably help if I put in the right bracket. So and input, and then we're going to do display none. So we wanted to hide that checkbox. So theme switch and input. Why is it not hiding it? So theme switch input checkbox. Go ahead and get rid of this. Class theme switch input checkbox. And that's inside of the toggle. Where am I getting toggle text at? Toggle wrap. Toggle text is not what I'm supposed to be doing here. So let's take this, and I'm going to copy these two, and let's get this out of here. I don't think we need this toggle text at all. I don't know what I was thinking there. I was thinking maybe we can have some text next to the sun or the moon, but I don't think that we need that. So let's see. Alright, so now it's hidden. Maybe we can come back to that, but for right now let's just keep going with our input. So we got display none, and we want to do and checked plus toggle. So this is going to have it where it moves the toggle switch once we get there. So we're going to do background, and this is going to be a var using that brand color. Alright, and then let's go down. This keyboard is killing me. Okay. Alright, so and checked plus toggle before, and we're just going to give it like an animation appearance. And it's going to just move slightly whenever we have that. Okay, so right now, I mean, we're not going to be able to see anything, so let's keep going down, and we're going to start customizing that toggle switch next. So dot toggle, and let's give it a background color of just like an off-white. 0 cursor pointer, and let's do left 0. Actually, let me take this and I'm just going to move it down so it's all kind of clear and concise what we're doing. So cursor pointer, because we're just going to have it all zeros. So we got our bottom left, right 0, and then top 0. Okay, so let's do a transition, and let's make it like 0.4 seconds, so it's pretty quick. Alright, so now we need to start coding the actual like circular part of it so we can see what it looks like. So let's do and before background. I'm just going to make it white, so the little ball is going to be white. So bottom is going to be 0.4 rem. Content, just not going to have any content in that. Let's do left 0.4 rem as well, and let's do position absolute. Okay, position absolute, and then we're going to do our transition here to be 0.4 seconds as well. And let's do a width of 1.25 rem and a height of 1.25 rem, so we can make it circle. So still can't see anything yet. Alright, so now we have this round part. So let's do and dot round, which should be our toggle round here. So we got and round. We're going to do border radius of 1 rem, and then and before we're going to do border radius of 1 rem. Okay, so I wonder why we're not seeing anything at all over here yet. We should be seeing something over here. So let's see what we got for this. We got our theme switcher. This should have some code. It does. So this theme switch, it's got to be something I'm missing. Okay, so let's go back up. So we have our theme switch. Let's display inline block 2 rem 4 rem relative. Let me add some. No, we don't need anything here. So what can we add here? Why is it not displaying? So we got our toggle, it's background, bottom, left, right, 0, position absolute. Yep, we don't have a position on it. So position absolute. Then we got our background, bottom. Okay, there we go. So it was just because it wasn't absolutely positioned. Now if we click on this, we can see that it changes it. And also it's changing the text color for our header. Okay, so I like that. Let's go ahead and modify this icon so it's not so small. So I'm not going to do it up here. So I'm just going to get rid of this toggle icon. Actually, you know what? Do I have toggle icon here? I do. All right, so I'm going to add the toggle icon inside of this. So let's do here. Inside of this toggle icon, we're going to do .bi, and then this is going to be font size. Let's do 2 rem, and then we're going to do margin right, and it's going to be 0.5 rem. All right, that's better. Good. All right, so we're getting somewhere. Let's also. So the moon is white, so that's fine. Okay, I think that is it for the CSS. Now, one thing that we want to potentially worry about is the use of images. So I have some images. I'm going to copy them over. So give me just a moment. Okay, so I have my images copied over. I just got the logo PNG. I'm going to come up here where we have this brand, and I'm going to change this brand to match my logo. So let's do image source equals image logo PNG, and then we're going to use the class of image fluid, and then let's also use brand. Okay, so if we come back over here, we can see it's using the blue, which is great, but I don't want it to be blue all the time. I just want it to be blue here. So I'm going to make it where it's going to turn all of the transparent, or I guess all of the images. You don't have to use this part of it if you don't want to. I'm going to use this so you can kind of see how it can be done. But it may, obviously it's not going to work for some of the other images that you could use here, like images that don't have transparency on them like the logo does. So let's switch back, and now we're going to modify our initialize.js, and let's create another variable up here. So this is going to be constant image equal document dot query selector all this time, and then we're going to select all images. So for every image we want it to do something. So in the dark mode we want to do var I equals image.length. So image.length, and then we're going to do I minus minus, and then inside of this we are going to do image, and it's going to use the dot children. Now this is going to use the I, so it's basically setting it up as an array. Then class list dot add, and then we're going to create a class called image light. So if we're doing that here, we also need to do it in the light and remove it. So let's come over here, and we're going to remove it now. So we got dot add here, so we're going to do dot remove here. So inside of our style sheet, we need to create a CSS style called image light. So we're going to go down here, we're going to do image light, and then essentially what this is going to do, it's going to use a filter, and it's going to be brightness 0. I need to spell filter right. So filter. So filter brightness 0, and then we want to do invert 1. Essentially what that's going to do is make it where the image is going to turn into a white image, which it does not do right now. Alright, let's see what we're doing here. So image light, filter brightness invert. So I need to switch over to the JavaScript, and what did we do? So query selector all image, and it's using an image tag obviously. So we have where it adds image light to the class. Let's see if it's showing any errors. Image is not defined. That's strange, because it's defined right here. Oh, because I have it singled there, so let's fix that. Now, switching it makes it white. Okay, so that's what I wanted it to do. Alright, so now let's add some other styling, just like styling it to the body, you know, styling on the body, styling on like links and stuff like that. So we're going to scroll all the way up here, and then inside of our body, I want to, or underneath our body, I want to do a, and let's make this color, and we're going to do var brand color. Then we're going to do text decoration none, and then we're going to do the hover part of it. So hover and active, and then finally focus. Also, just FYI, I'm using Bootstrap just to get a general layout. You definitely don't need to have Bootstrap for any of this. I'm just using it to rapidly develop this tutorial, since the HTML is not specifically what I'm worried about. Okay, so let's add some styling. Let's go ahead and add in some navigation to our header, just to have some navigation up here. So beside this, we're going to do nav and li ahref. And let's do about. So I'm just going to copy this a few times just to create some additional content that goes on this page. I mean, for the most part, if you've made it this far in the tutorial, then you can probably be done. There's not that much I'm going to be doing differently, except for just adding in some additional styles to control the card that we created. It's just going to be like a form. But the fundamentals of it has been done. Alright. Okay, so let's switch back over to our styles, and inside of our header, underneath the brand, let's create a nav, and we're going to do font size, and let's just make it a little bit bigger than the general text. And then we're going to do our UL margin 0, padding 0. And then our li inside of this, so list style type is going to be none, and then we're going to do display inline block. See, let's set it as a line height that matches the logo size. So line height, let's make it like 70 pixels and see what that looks like. And then padding right, and let's do like 3 rem. So list style type none. Why is it still styling it there? So we have nav ul li list style type none. So if I inspect this, it's not adding it at all. Why is it not adding it at all? I have to have something misspelled somewhere. So let's go back over here. Oh, that's because I didn't put it inside of a UL tag. UL. Alright, so let's go down there, and there we go. Alright, and obviously they're not going anywhere, so not too worried about that. Switch it, and it's blue, so I want to switch it, and well, actually I think blue on the white looks good. Alright, so let's add some more CSS, because I don't like the way it's like bunched up at the top. So let's add some CSS to our header. I want to make it a position fixed, because I want it to be able to scroll down on the website, and you can change it from wherever you're at. So let's do position fixed, z index, let's do top 0, width 100 vertical width, and let's do padding 1 rem 0, and let's do a background color and make that background color our alt background, and I need to have the double dash here. Okay, so it's gray now. We switch this, it turns to a light color. Okay. All right, so now obviously we need to push down our content. So inside of that, the main section, so let's scroll down past the header, and inside of this main, we're just going to add a margin top of 120 pixels. Again, this isn't going to be mobile responsive because that's not the point of this tutorial. Okay. All right, so that's looking good. Now, where's our hero? We haven't styled the hero at all. Okay, so underneath our main, let's start with our hero. So hero, let's just give it some padding of 4 rem and 0. And then inside of that, we're going to do card, and we're going to do background color. We're just going to make this do the alt background, and then we're going to have the border color be the secondary color. So secondary color. All right. So then we need to do card body, and the card body. Let's see, what do we want to do here? Let's just do some padding, 1.5 rem. Okay, cool. So let's add some content to that card, which is just going to be like a generic like login screen. So I'm not too worried about what's going to go in here. But let's just go ahead and add something in there so we have some content for this site. So let's do input type equals email, class equals form control. Let's go ahead and make it form control large. Let's see what else. Placeholder, because I'm not going to add any labels to it. Email address, and then that'll be good for that one. And I'm just going to copy this, and let's just do a password. So input type password. Let's just go ahead and do a remember me as well. So let's do checkbox, and I'm going to style this. So let's do checkbox large. It's going to be a custom class for us. So input type equals checkbox. Don't need a value because it's not real. So let's do span. We're going to wrap this in a span. Okay, and then finally, let's throw in a button. So we're going to do button class equals width 100, btn large, btn primary. And then we're going to do type equals submit, sign in. Okay. All right, so now let's style that form a little bit, and we should be good to go. So we have our card here, our card body. Let's do form, and then inside of that we're going to do form control, border color. Let's just make this the var secondary color, and then go ahead and take off that border radius just because I don't like it. So border radius. So form control and a label, and we're going to do margin bottom 2 rem, so it kind of gives us a little bit of spacing in between each one of them. Now let's modify that checkbox. So checkbox large, and then we want to modify the specific type equals checkbox, and let's make it a height of 2 rem so it kind of matches those tall form controls we already got. Width of 2 rem, and then let's do a border color var secondary color. Alright, so now we have that span where we're keeping the text at, so we're going to do span position relative. Then we're going to move that, so top, let's move it up like -6 rem, and then let's move it to the left 0.5 rem. Okay, and now let's get out of that and do the btn. Let's do border. Let's do border none again with the border radius, and just make it 0. And then we're going to do the btn primary, and we're going to make the background color. So background color var brand color. Okay, so now we kind of have it. It's a little too far over. Span is supposed to be 0.5, not 5. 0.5. Okay, there we go. So now we kind of have it styled the way that we want it for the white screen, where it's going to be using the same colors throughout. So if we switch it, there we go. It's using, you know, the border, the background color, the button color, all this stuff it's using what it needs to whenever you switch it over. So good. All right, let's switch back, and let's see. I think that's all we need to do right now for the CSS. So let's switch back over to our index.html, and I have some additional images that I'm using specifically for this project. Let me just find out where I'm at with it. So we need to get it outside of this hero, but keeping it inside of the main. Alright, so we need to do it right below the hero. And I'm going to create a div. Let's do row brands. And then inside of this, I want to do div column, and I have 6 images, so we're going to do column 6. And then let's just do inside of this. That's all we need. Alright, so we have our 6 columns, and we're going to do image source. I just have some various logos. So brands, let's do WP, PNG, image, brands. Let's just do Apple, jQuery, Microsoft, Node, and finally PHP and PHP. Alright, so now if we scroll down, you can see the reason why I'm adding this content is so you can see the header with its fixed positioning and your ability to change it while we're going down. And also, since we have these logos here that they have their own colors, just like this one does, since we're looking for every image on the website, and these are all transparent PNGs, if we switch, they turn white. Okay, so now let's just style these to make them where they fit on the screen. Shouldn't be too much styling that needs to be done with it. So let's come down here and add brands, margin 4 rem, not 43, 4. We're going to do padding 4 rem, just to kind of give it some space between itself and the hero, as well as the footer that we're fixing to do. We're going to do border top 1 pixel solid, and let's do the secondary color for this one. And then let's do the same thing for the border bottom. So copy this, and let's change this to bottom. Alright, and now let's modify the images. So we're going to do width of 80%, and the reason why I'm customizing the style here is because I want it to be where the images are basically the same height, and they flow horizontally. So yeah, this will allow us to do that. So let's do 100 pixels, and then we're going to do this object fit, and this is going to be scaled down. So it'll essentially scale down the object, which is the image. It'll scale it down so that it fits within inside the confines of the width or the height without pixelating it. So we're going to do margin 0 auto, so they're centered, and then display block to help with that center as well. Now we switch back and we scroll down. We have all of our logos. They're differently sized images, but because of the CSS that we just wrote with the width, height, and object fit, they fit in the correct location. And now if we toggle this, it switches it off. Alright, well that's good. Now let's keep going. So there's some more that we need to add to the index.html just to kind of give it a footer. So underneath our main, actually let's go underneath the div container fluid. So we're going to do footer, and then inside of this we're going to do div container fluid, and then text center. And let's then also do an h2 and a paragraph tag. Okay, that's not what I wanted to do. So in our h2 tag, I'm just going to add some generic information. So interested in sponsoring a video, or if you know anybody that's interested in sponsoring a video, I am taking sponsors. Okay, so interested in sponsoring a video. If you are interested in sponsoring a video, please email me for the pricing and terms. So just some generic content, and then let's do ahref, just add in some footers. So home, and then ahref, let's see, terms of service. Then let's do another one here, and let's do privacy policy. Okay, so scroll down. That looks alright. The words are kind of running together, so let's fix that in our style sheet. We just need to add a footer, and then put some padding on that footer. Let's do 5 rem 0 so that it's kind of spaced out, and then the A, we're just going to add a margin of 1 rem to that. So let's switch back there. Yeah, that looks a lot better. Okay, so I think that is it for this tutorial. Let me just scan over it real quick, make sure I didn't miss anything. So we have our image, we have where it changes the icon, we have where it switches, stores it in the local storage. So yeah, I think that's it. So this is a sample website built using a theme switcher, so you can go from dark mode to light mode. And it also is pretty cool because it's very versatile. Let's say, for example, you could come into your style sheet and create another set here. So let's say if you want to do, like, instead of doing dark, you could do something like orange. I don't know, if you wanted to be able to give them a theme switcher, for example, you know, change it to orange. And then inside of your JavaScript file, you would just create another function called orange, and then add a checkbox, or make it where maybe it's a drop down that selects it, and then essentially that would be your switcher event here, where instead of doing checkbox, you would look for a selected event item. Hopefully you like the new video format. If not, let me know and I'll change it back. I just kind of figured that, with this way, the text is a lot bigger. I'm not being so compressed, and it's not pushing it off to the side. Everything's a lot easier to read. You know, pretty much you can see the whole website. But if you don't like it, you know, let me know, and I'll switch back to how I was going if enough people say they don't like it. But I think for right now, this video is over. If you liked the video, give me a thumbs up. If you did not like the video, leave me a comment and let me know why. But for right now, I guess thanks for watching, and I will talk to you later.